to another episode of Just Cooking. I'm your host, Bassam Al-Alawi, aka Be The Maker on Instagram of the Darcine Cafe at the Bahrain National Museum. Today, I am so happy to have chef.mehdi.tahri, that's his Instagram handle. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm great. It's really exciting to have somebody who is one of the few, if only one, pitmaster that I know. Can you tell us what that means, basically?
Pitmaster is basically, it relates to anything smoking, barbecue, and whoever deals with wood and fire, basically.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. You can go home now. We're done. But what are you making for us today?
Today we are going to do a simple dish.
Right.
We're going to have something that is very common, very famous, called Mongolian beef.
I can't wait.
We're going to do it in a simple way so anyone can do it at home very easily with simple ingredients. And basically what you need to have is green onions, garlic, ginger, and a piece of tenderloin beef, in addition to some spices and sauce. You have the soya sauce, you have black pepper, Himalayan rock salt, we're gonna have cornstarch for the beef. Any type of oil would do good. So we are here using, I think, sunflower oil.
That is sunflower oil.
So it's a simple dish, simple recipe. I think we have a rice white vinegar somewhere in there.
We do, there it is.
Fantastic. So as I said, it's a simple dish, very easy technique to work with, and you can do it at home. It should not take you more than 10 minutes for having this dish to be ready.
And so we begin. What do you want to do?
The first thing we need to do is, depending on how you set up your kitchen station,
Right.
I think the best thing we have here is we will work with the vegetables first, because we only have one cutting board.
That's true.
And we don't want to do cross-contamination, so we don't want to cut the beef and then cut the vegetables and then basically create a poisonous dish for everyone.
Lovely. Salmonella party we will not have.
You're not going to have salmonella with this, but
exactly.
then, when you work
Exactly.
with beef, it's a little bit more easier than chicken, but then you have to be safe anyhow.
And you say work with beef, and this is like your specialty as a chef.
Yes, I have been working with beef for a long time. Any type of protein, especially beef itself.
Right.
I've worked with it for a long time. So a lot of people think beef is an easy dish to do, but then
Right.
when you look at the varieties of the cuts you can get,
And the techniques as well.
the techniques of how to make.
Yeah.
I mean, when you do a smoked brisket, for example, people think that brisket is just a tough beef, which you can boil. No, brisket you can smoke it for like 12 hours just to make it reach the perfect consistency.
Do not overboil your brisket, please.
Do not boil the brisket.
Yeah.
Please smoke your brisket. Come to me and I'll teach you how to
Exactly.
make the
Unless
brisket.
you have a deli, you have no excuse.
Oh yes, oh yes. All right. So the first thing we need to do, we need to cut our vegetables. So we're gonna start with the garlic.
Right.
Okay. All we need to do is have the garlic chopped into smaller pieces.
Right.
Okay. And basically, if you have a grater, you can grate it. It's just a simple process for you to do. If you have a blender, you can blend it. If you have a paste, you can use the paste.
Beautiful.
Whatever you have at home would do fine.
You know what? The amount of garlic that is going into this dish makes me very, very happy.
The more garlicky, the more tastier the dish.
The better your breath smells.
Oh yes.
It's gonna be.
Actually, you're not gonna have any heavy heavy dose of smelling coming out of your breath. The way this dish is made, the garlic basically fades away into a very nice flavor of a dish.
Beautiful. And Mongolian chicken is a very famous chicken. It's actually Shanghainese in origin, and it's very there's a saucy, glazy finish to it.
Yes,
Right.
because the sauce that we basically cook in has rice white vinegar,
Beautiful.
and rice white vinegar intends to be a little bit to the sweety side.
Yeah.
And then that basically gives it. The more you reduce it, the more it becomes like honey.
Yes.
So eventually it's gonna reach to a consistency where it will start glazing the beef or chicken or even the seafood the way it likes. So we basically rough chop the garlic.
Perfect.
We're gonna take our ginger. Okay, and if you're a person who likes ginger like me, you would add a lot of ginger. If you're
And me.
someone who's trying to avoid it, just use a little bit because the recipe requires ginger.
Ginger is a staple of Chinese cooking, and there are varieties of ginger. We actually use one of them in the Thai episode, galangal.
Galangal, yes.
So, the more ginger, the better. I actually like Indian ginger as well. It's slightly smaller, a little more pungent. It's quite delicious.
And it's very difficult to work with, but
Yes.
then once you really get it in your dish,
Exactly.
it's amazing.
Right. So now you're going to this is basically the base of
This
the
is
dish
the
you're gonna
base of the dish that we're gonna make. The first things we need to do is basically saute these garlic and ginger in order for them to change color into a little bit goldish kind of color.
make. Perfect.
All right.
My
And
kind
then-
of frying.
Exactly.
So while you're doing the slave labor, I will continue to ask you questions because I'm really interested in this project of yours. I'm already a huge fan. It was introduced by a mutual friend of ours. I saw you on Instagram, and you basically are the only person I know, actually the only person I personally know, you might know somebody else, in the Middle East who actually custom makes these beautiful grills and smokers. Right?
I think I'm the only one who does them in Bahrain.
My
I don't know about
apologies.
the Middle East. I don't know about the Middle
Well,
East.
I did say that I don't know anybody else.
Yeah. There are people who attempted to do so, but then when it comes to getting the measurements and basically the planning of the entire thing, you would require some engineering background.
Right, which you
know,
have.
I have some engineering background. I would,
Brilliant.
and every smoker that I build or every grill that we do, it comes from literally a long study in order for it to reach to where it is and make sure that the outcome and the result of the smoker would be one of the best.
There's so many variables you need to consider.
Of course.
In terms of the size, the way the temperature is going to circulate,
Of course.
all of that
The
stuff.
most important thing now, if we're going to do a regular smoker or a regular grill, we
Right.
will not take a lot of details into it.
Right.
But when it comes to smoker itself, yes, you would need, because there is an airflow
Yes.
where you have to know how much smoke would go in and what the smoke would do, the aerodynamics, exactly.
Yeah.
You know? So all of these things are such an important details which a lot of people tend to miss. And we try our best not to have these kind of things happening in our basically workshop.
The smell. Green onion.
All right.
And you mentioned workshop as well.
Yeah.
So you have really cool names for these, right? And they range in size, but they are all heavy duty.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Like, they are not the type of stuff that people have used where it's very light.
Oh,
and-
you know,
yeah.
one of the things that we do, we tell our customers, bring your car and smash it into one of our grills, and let's see whichever who wins, the grill or the car.
I think the
You
grill
know?
wins, ladies and gentlemen.
We basically use a 5 millimeter steel, which is way
Relative-
too heavy. I mean,
and
the
thick as
smallest,
well.
the smallest grill that we have, which is called the Baby Boy.
Right. Wait, you know what? Give me a rundown of the names because the names are totally legit.
We have the Baby Boy, we have the Little Boy, we have the Old Man, we have the Big Boy, and the one that made us famous was the Big Fat Belly.
The big fat belly.
The
ladies
Big
and
Fat
gentlemen.
Belly. The Big Fat Belly is basically a 500-gallon double tank smoker. You know, it requires a tow truck in
Yeah.
order for you to move it around. And then we
And it looks intense too.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I mean people thought that we're building a nuclear bomb when we did it in the first
They are
place.
not building a nuclear bomb. No nuclear weapons were
We
ever
are
made on the
safe.
side of their home. Okay.
You know, peaceful. So the thing that happened was a lot of people got attracted to it. So we basically upgraded one into a smoker that is called the Legend,
Right.
which is basically a 1,000-gallon tank, 7.5 meters long.
So like 8 people can sit inside.
Oh yes, I mean it would be the perfect smoker to smoke an entire cow, basically.
Charming. Who doesn't want to smoke an entire cow if you can find one? So basically, what we're doing now.
So now, what we did is we chopped all of the vegetables that we had.
Perfect.
Okay. We're gonna now start heating up our oil.
Okay.
And the first thing we need to do is basically fry our beef. So
Right.
I'll take the beef now.
I'll prepare a bowl for you.
Yes, please.
And basically, you're going to be coating the beef in.
Cornstarch.
Right. So I've got some
And,
cornstarch.
You know,
over here.
this is a method which Chinese people, a lot of Chinese restaurants use. It's optional, but it gives a very nice taste to the beef once
Agreed.
you start cooking it. You know, so all you have to do, if you have a big piece of tenderloin, you basically cut it into quarters.
Right.
Okay.
So that they're almost strip-like.
Exactly. And then what you do then, you have to cut them against the grain.
Yes.
All right. So
And that means
basically,
against the
one
muscle
motion, one motion should be enough for you to
Beautiful.
start cutting against the grain, and basically, this is what you need.
Exactly. Against the muscle fiber so that it remains tender, ladies and gentlemen. Tenderloin is not a very fatty piece of meat, so it tends to dry out if overcooked or not prepared correctly.
Of course. And even though it's one of the most leanest beef you can find,
Yes.
it dries so fast. It will still remain soft, but then
Right.
you're going to lose all of it. So please don't go well done with these things.
No,
keep
please,
them medium.
not the tenderloin.
All right. Like one day, I had one customer. He came and he took a Wagyu beef and he asked me to do it well done.
Did you fire him and put him in one of your grills?
I actually left from the restaurant.
This is like a chef's pet peeve. People get expensive cuts of beef and they want you to do it well done, aka burnt within an inch of its life.
Oh my God!
Oh,
You
Lord,
know,
no.
when you start having good quality beef, they are like children. You have to basically take care of them in order for you to get a very decent meal out of it.
Exactly. So you've basically chopped up the beef and it's looking beautiful. It's nice and fresh. And you're gonna basically coat it with cornstarch. This technique is actually called velveting and it's very popular in Chinese cuisine.
Exactly.
When we come back, we will be putting this stuff in the bowl, covering it with beautiful white cornstarch, and we'll tell you to do what? We're gonna tell you to do what you do next. I don't know what I'm saying because I lost my vocabulary.
Stay tuned and just
What he
keep
said.
just be ready for what's coming next.
So you've prepped the meat. What are we gonna do next?
The first thing we need to do before having the cornstarch on the beef,
Right.
we're gonna drop in our basically ginger and garlic. All right.
Immediately, the smell. Ginger and garlic together. The
Ginger.
holy duo.
The ginger and garlic are a combination that people basically love.
It makes a home smell like a home
Oh
when
my
it's being
God,
cooked.
yes. So we have our beef here. We're gonna have a little bit of cornstarch.
Perfect.
All right. We're gonna add a lot of cornstarch.
That's all the cornstarch.
Just for us to start coating.
Right?
You can wear a glove in this period of time if you want.
And
Or
this-
if you're messy, you can use your hand as well.
I'm mostly a hand guy. But I do use freshly sanitized hands, ladies and gentlemen. So this is also going to give like a thickening power to the dish
Exactly.
as well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing we did now, we basically started sautéing our garlic and ginger.
Lovely.
All right. Now you have two methods of doing this. Okay. You can remove the garlic and ginger and
Right.
then add more oil and start frying the beef.
But why?
Okay.
But why?
In order for you to get a little bit of the crust. However, the way we do it is we're going to add it to it. So the garlic and the ginger would give its taste to the beef itself and keep the beef
Charming.
moist all the way through.
So you're basically infusing all that flavor into the
Into
meat.
the beef.
That's the way I like it, to be honest. I feel like
Exactly.
that makes a decent Mongolian beef, if not more than decent.
You know, majority of the places you would go, you would see that the Mongolian beef is crispy,
Yeah.
and this is not the way it should be. If
No.
you're going to go for a crispy beef, then that's a different dish.
So a
But
nice
it-
glaze.
glazy, moist beef.
God. If my brother was here, he would be all over us. All right, so this is technically coming to temperature, and you want the oil to get really hot. Do you want me to add more oil?
Yes, please.
All right, so we're
Little
adding
bit
a
more
little
oil.
It's going to drop the temperature just a little bit, but it'll come up quite quickly. Woks should not be used on inductions, but they are relatively thin, so they conduct heat very quickly.
See, when you go to any Chinese restaurant, you would see
Yeah.
that the dishes are ready within like 5 to 10 minutes.
Exactly.
And the reason why is because they are cooked with high flame.
Yes.
You know, if you go inside the kitchen, you're going to see the flame coming all the way above the wok, which basically cooks everything in the dish within like 2 minutes.
Exactly.
You know?
And you know, a lot of people are trained, like chefs are trained in the European school, right?
Yes.
But the Chinese school of cookery is way more technical. There's a lot more variation, so much like history because of just the breadth of the country.
If
right?
you would go to an actual Chinese culinary school,
Yeah.
it's like going to a martial art
Exactly.
dojo, basically. So they take their cooking very seriously.
Yep.
This is an art rather than being a normal, decent food.
Right.
For them, this is an art, and they will not accept if somebody messes it up.
Yep. And the amount of information in terms of techniques that they have to carry is incredible, especially salsas.
Yes.
So many variations. All right, so what are we going to do now?
So now we're just waiting for the ginger and garlic to give us a little bit of that golden, beautiful color.
Right?
And the first thing we will do, we'll add the soya sauce, and then we'll put the beef on top of it.
When we come back, the garlic and ginger would have been nice and brown, and we can continue making this Mongolian beef Chef Mehdi style. See you in a bit. So tell us what's happening over here.
All right, so our garlic and ginger is starting to get golden, or actually it became golden.
Perfect.
All right, so I think this is the right time for us to add our soya sauce.
There, should I add it in there?
Yep.
There you go.
All right.
Nice and
So
sizzly.
this is basically going to stop the garlic and ginger from overcooking.
Yep.
All right, and it's gonna give
And then the smell.
the smell of this is amazing. You guys need to know. All of you out there need to taste. Oh, sorry. All of you out there need to see what is happening right now.
You can smell a taste.
You can smell a taste. That's a good thing. They can smell a taste.
Trademarked. Okay. So what
All
next?
right. So now we're gonna take the beef,
Right.
and we are gonna start dropping them in.
Lovely.
Okay. We're
They're
trying to
beautifully
make sure.
coated. You know, I love that sound of sizzling beef, garlic. Oh my God. I feel like Indiana Jones that time he tried to save somebody in China. That never happened, but in my head it did. All right.
All right. So the first thing that will happen here is that the cornstarch on the beef will start to thicken.
Yep.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So once this happens, we're gonna add the rice white vinegar.
Right, which is about now.
Now,
Okay. Rice wine vinegar, ladies and gentlemen. For that sweetness, that added vinegary kind of taste that sends it from about a 6 to about a 9.
fantastic. And as you can see, the colors has been changed. It
Beautiful.
becomes a little bit lighter in color.
Lovely.
And then once it reaches to the right color that we need, it's gonna get darken.
Right.
It will start to darken up. Now, as you can see, the beef itself is starting to get cooked, but
Yes.
then it still retains its moisture.
Yes.
So, if you want to go the traditional Chinese style, you would go, you would fry it for a while with the cornstarch, and
Right.
then you will add it in. But then, do not overdo it because it will start.
Overcooking
It will
it?
start overcooking it, and it becomes basically dried beef.
Right. Ain't nobody got time for dried beef. Unless you're a survivalist and you're stuck and you have no food. Then you can have your beef jerky then. But not today.
Not today.
So, what next? Are we going to wait for this to cook?
This is now where we're gonna reach. The first thing we have to do is taste our.
How was it? What does it need? Salt? What do you need?
It requires a little bit of salt
Okay, there you go.
and the sugar.
The sugar? There's no sugar.
There's no sugar.
Yay! See you in a bit. We're going to get some sugar and we're going to show you what to do with it. Bye. So at this point, you asked me for some sugar, right?
Yep.
And you've chosen brown sugar for this.
Brown
day.
sugar, of
All
course. See, now what we have to do is we have the beef starting to cook
darkening.
up. It's darkening.
Right.
Okay. And it became thick right now.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is add a little bit of water.
And what he's using to pour the water is this beautiful carafe from D House. Thank you, guys.
Amazing, by the way.
I know.
All right. So
All right.
we're gonna add water, and the water is basically gonna bring up the moisture again. And when we add the sugar, which is approximately half of the quantity of the soya sauce that we made.
Right?
All right. And depending on how sweet you want it, you can add more.
And I actually like brown sugar for this because it has a slight caramel texture. I mean, well, not texture, but well, it does have a soft texture, but it has a slight caramel flavor that I feel adds well with the soy sauce.
Of course.
And look at that color already. I'm transported.
This is very much important at this stage, is that you would basically keep mixing it all the way so the sugar would dissolve.
Yeah.
You don't want one side of it to be more sweet than the other.
Very true.
Okay, and then in the end of all of this, you would need to taste your dish.
I'm going to
always
try and
taste the dish.
find a spoon and taste with it.
No, I know he's waiting for it.
All right.
All right.
Now to accompany this dish, I've chosen something very simple to do. I'm actually going to do it in the same wok as soon as you like pass all of that onto a
Fantastic.
plate. It's just a very simple black sesame fried rice with a tiny bit of toasted sesame oil. Very
Fantastic.
simple. And maybe some rice wine vinegar for a touch of sweetness. When we come back, we're going to be ready to plate this bad boy. So this has been nice and bubbly, right?
Of course.
What are we going to do now?
The last thing we need to do, we have to remove it from the stove.
Okay.
And we take a good amount of
Spring onion.
spring onions and we just add it to it. We give it a nice flip.
And immediately, like, it changes that.
The taste
Exactly.
the entire taste changes immediately, and it basically gives it the Mongolian look that
Yeah.
people basically know about.
And a freshness as well.
Oh
because-
yeah, of course, of course. This is basically the dish that we have. Now we will just need to do the plating for it.
So basically, you created this beautiful Mongolian glazed beef with the tenderloin pieces. You've garnished it with the spring onion, and now we need to accompany this masterpiece with a rice.
Of course.
I like a starch because I mean it's a very Chinese thing. Why not, right? If you don't mind, I got some of those like rough chopped onions, different sizes. I want those for texture and taste. Can you drop them in here for me if you don't mind?
Sure.
Lovely. And this pan is coming up to temperature. It's going to start to sizzle, and at this point, I'm going to, drop in this jasmine rice. This is about 2 cups of jasmine rice that we've made in a normal rice cooker, which gives you like a really nice texture if you can't be bothered, especially with these more starchy and sticky rices, right?
Amazing.
That looks beautiful. So tell me, how many you have sold these big smokers to people all around the country, if not outside of the country as well?
Yep.
How is that going?
I've been, thank God, I've been blessed that a lot of people had made some orders even from outside of Bahrain.
Beautiful.
The thing that we basically are proud of is that all our smokers are exactly how you would imagine a smoker would be.
Exactly.
So,
what your dream smoker would be?
oh yeah, of course. People would think that something.
sesame?
Oh, nice. People would think that local-made smokers would not be as good of a factory-made smokers.
Yes.
But then we accomplished something here that we showed everyone that even a small country like Bahrain is so huge in what they are capable of.
Amen.
And this is what happened, basically.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I'm so happy you've chosen to take time off of your busy schedule to be with us today. I love people who make things. I mean, that's why I'm called Be the Maker, because I like to make things, not just food, right? Okay, so basically, I just love the fact that you have this kind of black sesame interspersed amongst this. And black sesame is actually more earthy than white sesame.
Yes.
And I think it goes really well with just beef generally and meats.
See, it gives not only the texture would change, not only the taste would change, but
Yeah.
in the same time the presentation of the dish would look something so amazing.
Exactly.
And I mean, I'm so happy that this would be the dish that would be served as a side dish to.
I am
that
so. Thank you
Mongolian
so
meat.
much. We're
So
here
amazing.
to please. All right, so I'm just gonna
I think I would chop a little bit of spring onion for
go
the
for
garnish.
it. The more spring onion, the better. All right. At this point, I have a tiny bit of toasted sesame oil because I want this to have a slightly toasted flavor, right? And once I add this, technically, it's all done and we're ready to plate. So I'm not gonna add too much because toasted sesame is very strong.
Yes.
And I don't want it to overwhelm or overpower the dish.
Of
right?
course, the more you would add from this, it will start to overtake the dish, and then you're gonna basically have a sesame rice flavored dish.
Exactly. And we've technically just used the onions for some
course.
flavor. And I'm just gonna salt this just a little bit to bring everything up to scratch. Okay, actually.
I have a question for you.
Ask me.
Why did you choose to use a Himalayan rock salt?
Well, I think it's higher in minerals. It has a lot of trace amounts of everything that you really need, and it's also less salty than
And of course, for it to be one of the most healthiest salts you can ever buy.
Exactly. And we fancy is just enough reason. All right. So this is technically, I like it. I don't want it to get too crispy, right?
That's fantastic. That's
Perfect.
good. That's good.
I'm gonna set this to the side. I'm gonna close the flame. We're gonna plate this and present it to you guys in a bit. Stay tuned is what you say.
Stay tuned.
There you go. So we basically plated up Chef Mehdi Tahiri's beautiful Mongolian glazed beef and my black sesame rice with a tiny bit of toasted sesame. What do you think?
I mean, the dish looks so amazing, and I hope that it tastes as good as it looks, and I'm sure that it would.
I tasted it. It's pretty good.
It's a very simple dish. As I mentioned, it doesn't require a lot of effort. So it's like a 10 minutes of just infusing these different materials together. And this is basically what you're going to come up with, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as we did.
We definitely did with the tastings and everything like that. But let me tell you, travel to China this Ramadan. Why don't you? Remember, you guys, have a blessed Ramadan. Chef Mahdi, thank you so much for being here. Share, exactly. Stay blessed, stay safe, stay grateful, and make sure to make this. See you all next episode.